sorry to say it, but if your zinc-plated steel body shocks are rusted, it's because you don't know how to take care of them. But it's just as much my fault as it is the manufacturers for not educating you how. So today, we're here to fix that. As always, I'm Sean Bowman. This is the Shock Surplus Shop, so let's talk some shock. Despite all the complaints about corrosion, you are much better off having a zinc-plated shock when you're off-road than you would be a painted or powder-coated shock. Not only do these shocks have to deal with the elements as a whole, like a normal shock would, they also have to survive getting pelted with debris and just being constantly sandblasted every time you're out on the trail. Which is why many brands electroplate their steel-bodied shocks with zinc, because the zinc steel alloy, that galvanization, is a far harder material than just about anything that is blasting your shocks, where that pebble, that sand, whatever, will be chipping paint, chipping powder coat off your other shocks. Zinc-plated shocks will be no worse for wear after smashing through the sand, getting pelted with rocks, or whatever you throw at them. The downside is these coatings are generally kind of rough, so it's not hard for moisture and especially corrosive road salts or other de-icing agents to penetrate that coating and start some rust. And well, we're here to talk about how to prevent that. All it takes is one quick search of the interwebs, which I'm sure a lot of you guys have done, to see all of these posts from people with Bilstein 5100s, 6112s, Fox Factory Race Series kits, Kings, you name it, saying these shocks were great, but they rusted out in a year. And the saddest part is it was probably only 20 minutes worth of work within that single year to keep that from ever happening. So let's talk about what you gotta do. Now, if you're in an area where you're unlucky enough to deal with road salt, you absolutely should already be hosing off the underneath of your rig a couple times over the winter to get all that nasty rust dust right off. So you're already a leg up against the competition, but that is obviously going to be step one. You got to get your shocks clean, wiped down, and dry. Even if you're not in an area that salts the roads, dirt, debris stuck to the shock body will trap moisture, and it's just hugging that moisture against that zinc plating, forcing its way into the steel itself. So we get them cleaned up, we get them nice and dry, and then we come in with a dry silicone lubricant spray. Now, this is not a blaster commercial here. We're not paid by Blaster. This is just the one we happen to use. There are tons of different quick drying silicone lubricant sprays. WD-40 Specialist line is great. 3M stuff is great. Uline stuff is great. They're all pretty good. Don't really have to be worried about the brand here. These will basically spray right on, dry super quick, and leave you with this nice little silicone film that will protect against moisture, corrosive materials, a ton of other stuff, at least for a couple weeks or months. What I really like about these silicone lubricant sprays is they're not really harmful to anything under your vehicle. So if you're a little overzealous, which you kind of should be anyway, you don't have to be worried about killing your reservoir hoses, your brake lines, your bushings, or anything like that. In fact, they'll be happier for having this spray on them. The only thing you want to avoid is getting them on your brakes, but I'm pretty confident a couple hard stops will burn that off of your pads and rotors anyway. In fact, if you have something that you know is in good shape but just likes to squeak, well, that's a good thing to spray on it too. We use it on this Xterra all over the place. It's got Old Man Emu leaf springs, and you know what that means? She be squeaking, and that's what we keep it from squeaking. But it's also, as we're talking about today, a great rust prevention spray. Now, these sprays hold up pretty well. You know, they're not immediately going to go to pieces the second you get them outside of your garage, but if you're in an area that salts the roads through the winter, we definitely recommend applying it, of course, at the beginning of the winter, and reapplying once or twice before the cold season is done or when the wet season is done. If it's particularly wet year-round, you know, you're in the South, you may not have to deal with snow and road salt, but, you know, it is moist year-round. We usually say every 2 to 3 months, or anytime you find yourself under your rig, it's a good idea to spray them down. Additionally, if you like to have a little fun off-road like we do, it's probably a good idea to spray them down after every trip. Now, if you're in a desert or Mediterranean climate like we are, where it's dry most of the year, you probably don't have to be worried about your shocks corroding. We have steel-bodied, zinc-plated Bilstein 5100s on this Xterra. They've been on for a few years, and there's not a lick of rust on them. But if you find yourself out on the trails a whole bunch, especially if there's water crossings and mud to be concerned about, it's never a bad idea to take that little extra step. I think we can all agree this is such an easy level of maintenance. There's no excuse for anybody to be running around with rusty shocks, at least after watching this video. But if you're a real big fan of videos like these where we give you a couple quick tips to help you avoid some of the woes related to suspension that you might be facing, well, make sure to leave us a comment below. And while you're there, hit like, subscribe, and the bell icon so you stay up to date on all the fun stuff we're getting into. And if you're interested in a solid set of shocks, maybe something steel or zinc plated like these 5100s or something else, shocksurplus.com is your one-stop shop. And in the meantime, we'll see you out on the trails.